Hi there, I'm Mrs. Peskett and I'm just going to talk you through our basic guide to accessing Teams at Shenley Brook End School. Just going to turn my camera off and then we can see the PowerPoint in front of us. So there's three ways of accessing Teams. All are web-based, so you need to be on the internet. But you can either access Teams via RM Unify, and you've got the web address there, office.com, and again the web address is there, or directly through Microsoft Teams. I'm just going to talk you through these three ways because each way is slightly different and gives you a little bit more as well as Teams. So if you were to go onto rmunify.com, our first option, you would see a page that looks like this. So you go onto the website and you log in using your school email address and password. Once you are logged into RM Unify using your school email address and password, you will have a number of tiles come up that you can see. You might not have as many tiles as you can see here, but down the bottom here is the Teams tile. And if you click on that, it will take you directly through to your Teams homepage. If you log into RM Unify and you don't have a Teams tile, no need to worry. Just go up here where this red circle is and type in Teams and search, and it will bring the tile up for you. So on the RM Unify option, if you log in this way, you'll have the option to access Teams, but you'll also have the option to access your school email and your school Go for Schools account. So RM Unify allows you to see all three of those things. If you decide to go with the second option of login into Office, you type in office.com, the web address that you were shown on the previous slide. And again, you're given the option up here, this orange box, to sign in. You sign in with your school email address and password, just like the other options. And once you have logged in, you'll have all these options down here like Outlook, the ability for you to access Excel, Word, and PowerPoint at home. But you'll also have this logo here, which is your Teams. And again, if you click on that, you will go straight through to the home page of your Teams page. The third way that you can log on is by going through Microsoft Teams directly. Again, you can either Google Microsoft Teams or the web address was on the first slide. But there's a number of ways to access Microsoft Teams. You log in with your school email address and password, same ones as before, but you're logging in directly to Microsoft Teams. So you won't have any other access in terms of email or Go for Schools or Office features. But it does allow you to log in either via the website or the app. Now, the app can be downloaded on any Apple device, so whether that's a phone or an iPad, and it can also be downloaded to any Android device, whether that's an Android phone or an Android tablet. So once you are into Teams, you will look at a page that looks something like this. So if you wait there, I'm just going to stop sharing my PowerPoint with you. And I'm going to share my screen with you. There we go. So when you log into Teams, I'm just going to move this up here. When you log into Teams, you will have lots of different tiles of different areas you can access. Your tiles will look mainly like this. So these here are your class tiles. You should have a tile for every class that you take. So English, maths, science, history, arts, whatever subjects you take. When you click on your class tile, I'm going to click on this one here, you will have posts. So that's any information that your classroom teacher has decided to post for you. Might be a little note to do some homework or a little note telling you when there might be a live video lesson, but any communication will come through that post page. You'll have files, and that will have any documents that have been uploaded, whether that's PowerPoints of lessons, Word documents for you to view. And you'll also have this assignments page. Now, assignments are where teachers can set you work and where you can access that work and also submit that work from that space. So if an assignment had been set for me, this would be in this space here. So Teams allows you to access communication with your teachers through your classes via posts, files of documents, and then any assignments, so active tasks that they would like you to do. So if you have a play around with Teams, it has lots of functionality. So you can set yourself a calendar to organize yourself. You can have a look at all your assignments that have been set. You can access your different class teams, and then there is chat function as well, which allows you to communicate more directly with other people. We'd encourage you to have a play around with these and to see their functionality. And the really helpful bit as well from Microsoft is this help bit down here. So if I was to go to topics, I've got lots of different help sheets and videos. So for example, if I wanted to find out more about assignments, I could type that in there and press search. And some of it is about setting assignments, but there's also how to turn in assignments and how you could return assignments as well. So this really little helpful help tab gives you access to a whole kind of world of information about how to use Microsoft Teams. So this is our basic how to log on to Teams, and this is your basic home screen when you log in. I'd just like to share my screen again with you in a different way, so give me 1 second. So with great access to Teams, and it is great, it gives you lots of functionality, comes a fair bit of responsibility as well, as you'd expect. So just like when you're in school, we have expectations of you when you're using Teams, and I would just like to go through those briefly with you now, just so we were all really clear on what we needed to be doing so we can get the best access that we can from Teams. So it's probably worth saying that if you have just been watching the video and thinking, oh, help, I can't remember my login, I can't remember my email address or password, so I can't access any of those 3 ways, whether it be RM Unify, Office, or Teams, then you need to email the email address below that you can see on the screen now, it-support@sbeschool.org.uk, and they will get back in touch with you. It's really important when you email them that you're really clear. So you can email them asking them for your login, for your school email, for your password, and obviously that email might come from a home email address because you're not going to know how to get onto your school email if you haven't got your password. But when you email them, please, you need to make sure that you tell them your full name, your form group, and the exact issue you're having, so what it is that you have forgotten, and then they will email you back as soon as they can. And it's just about being patient, because remember, if we're all trying to log in and lots of people have forgotten their passwords and email addresses, that might not come instantly. So it's worth getting on here straight away, and then if you do have any issues, you can get those sorted. So you need your login, your email address, and your password, and they're the same ones you use in school. So any issues with that, you can email the team of people to help you below. So when we are on Teams, there is an opportunity for us to have live lessons. When you have live lessons, they will appear in the posts page, and I will show you that momentarily. But it's really important that in a live lesson, and what we mean by that is a lesson that takes place on Teams in real time with you, your classmates, and your subject teacher, that you behave just as you would in a normal lesson in school. The school rules still apply, and you know what those rules are. We are respectful, we're polite, we are kind to everyone that is in that room. If students speak in the lesson, either because they have got their microphone on or because they're using the chat box, we do expect what we call the standard use of English. And what I mean by that is no slang. We need to create a formal approach to lessons. And sometimes just because we're on an end of a screen, things feel a bit different, but we need to address each other just like we would in school. So using full names, full English, no slang, obviously no swearing in any way, whether that is verbally or written. So in the chat box, you're aiming for good grammar. I appreciate there might be slight typos, but take your time, write what you want to say, and make sure that, you know, clear punctuation, good grammar, and that, you know, full manners are being adhered to. We ask that you don't post in the chat box for social purposes. So we don't want anyone in the chat box saying hi to their friends. We don't want anyone in the chat box just kind of having random side conversations with their friends. The purpose is for the academics of the lesson, for answering questions, for asking questions of your teacher, but nothing about, you know, what you're watching on telly last night. How are you? How's your day been in that area? That space, please. That's what your other ways of communicating with your friends are for. Must make this really clear, you are not allowed to record or screenshot the lesson under any circumstances. The school records all the lessons for safeguarding purposes, but we do not expect you to be screenshotting or recording the lessons and sharing that elsewhere. If that happens and we become aware of that, then live lessons is probably, you know, a privilege that you would lose, because it's about protecting everyone in that room, making sure that content isn't reproduced anywhere else. So slightly negative at the end there, but just kind of reminding you that if you're not adhering to the kind of behavior and conduct that we expect, then we'll remove you from the lesson, and follow up that with a phone call home, just to make sure that you're kind of being held to account and we're being held to account to the highest standards of behavior. So if we're going to be using Teams, it's for the benefit of all, and we need that to be a really respectful and positive place and process. So I thank you for advancing that. So when you are invited to a live lesson, it's really important that you join that lesson with your camera and your microphone off. You might be invited to turn those on later on, but it's really important when you first log in that when you join, it will ask you whether you want your camera or microphone on. You can see that with these red circles here. We'd ask you to have both of those off, please. And then the teachers will invite you to either use the chat box, turn your camera on, or turn your sound on. Please don't use any of those three things until you are invited to by a member of staff. That's really important. Thank you. So that's just another slide reminding you that before you join, you have to ensure your camera and microphone are off. And some basic expectations here, guys. Safeguarding is always our #1 priority as a school. You'll be told when live lessons are taking place in school via that post function or by school email. These sessions will always take place during normal school hours, or if they're after those school hours, that will be communicated beforehand. So if it's like an after school revision session, you need to be really clear that you are only attending things on Teams that you have been invited to by a member of staff at school. And you can do that by checking that the post is by a member of staff because their name is there on Teams, or by checking that the email you've been sent is from an @SBE school email address. If you do have any concerns about what's going on in a lesson, or you're not happy, you are more than welcome to leave the lesson, and then you can raise any queries you have with Mrs. Harty, and you can see her email address is there on the screen. I'll be honest, we don't have many issues in what we've been doing, but if you're just unhappy or you're not sure about how things are going, that's the person you would contact to talk to and to find out about. So if you do have a live lesson, and I'm going to show you how to get to that in a moment, it's really important to be prepared. You're going to need to get logged in a little bit before. So if you know someone's invited you to a session or a lesson at 9 o'clock, you need to be logging in at least 15 minutes before that to make sure you've got everything up and running. Check what's behind you, please. We don't really want to be able to see people in the back of your screen or anything that's too distracting or inappropriate posters. So just be professional and make sure the background is one that is okay to be seen by school. You need to dress appropriately. Obviously, you don't need to wear your full school uniform. You can if you want to. But it's just about making sure you're dressed in the way you should be, that you have got your device set up as it should be, and that you've got the equipment you need. So just like at school, do you need a notebook, your class book, pen and paper, etc., so that once you start, you can make full use of the time. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen a moment, and I'm going to show you here rather than my PowerPoint. So let me just take 1 second, make sure that's working. Okay, so if you have a lesson, you will go on to Teams and you will go to your class. So let's say this is my Year 10 psychology. Let's say you were in your Year 10 psychology lesson. There would be a place for you to join the lesson here. So I'm just going to start one. You won't have this functionality because I'm a teacher, but I would click Meet Now. I'm not going to click it because it'll end this recording, but I would click Meet Now, and then there would be a lesson for you to join. So any live lessons that you will have, there will be a post here that you can access. I think the best way for me to show you that is if I go to a different group that I have got down here, and I go to here. There was a music lesson in this channel, and you can see this is where it was. So you would go to the class that you were expecting to have the lesson for, and this icon will appear and you can click join. Okay, so like I said, get in there 5-10 minutes beforehand, so you're waiting for that box to appear and you can click on it when the lesson starts. Just going to stop sharing my screen. Okay, I appreciate you might have more questions on Teams, and it's something that we're all getting used to, but hopefully this basic video helps you with the logging in. You've got some website addresses that you can access, and you've got some email addresses that you can get in contact with if you need support. So I'm Mrs. Peskett. If you've got any Teams questions while we're in school, you can direct those to me. And if you've got any while we're not in school, you can direct those to that IT email address that you can see at the bottom there. But we look forward to seeing you all on Teams, and have a play around with it. See what you can do, see what you can find, and above all, just make sure it's a really positive space for us, just like we have in school, where we can be communicating with each other professionally, effectively, and making as much of it as we can. So thank you.